Okay, this is a commentary about friendship, especially from the man's point of view, or where I was coming from the man's point of view. A thought process occurred when I was doing the dishes about guys getting together and dating, and guys getting together, and how things kind of, well, regardless of if it's a guy or a girl, doesn't matter, when you do the chasing, when chasing is involved. Now, part of the reason why I feel like friendship is a really important, to start off as friends first, is because it gives the relationship, if it develops into something more, equal footing, where instead of it one person doing, expressing all the admiration for another and trying to convince them to, accept their offer, um, it becomes this person, both parties decide together at, if they're interested on the basis of what they know about each other. So both parties get to admit that they're attracted to each other. Both parties get to know what they're basing their decisions on, and things of that nature. Now, every blue moon, when you meet somebody, both parties are mutually attracted. Both parties are mutually responding to the overtures of the other person, and so that relationship can start off on an equal footing. However, you have a lot of relationships, especially with it when it comes to the man to the woman. A man will do the chase, and by him doing the chase, what that does for him, it puts him in a very awkward position of having to convince this young lady why she should consider him as a person to be spend time with. And of course, that means that you're going to be shelling out money. That means you're going to be doing extra stuff. You're not going to really be yourself at this point, because you're so busy trying to convince this person to like you, and that person is buying that. That's what, again, this is what they're basing their decision on, why they should get with you, which can become a problem for you if you can't keep it up. And so you're selling a bill of goods that may not work uh, in the long run for you. And that's one of the disadvantages of chase, is that and also too, the disadvantage is that other person has more leverage than you, because they're the one being chased after. So it's almost like everything becomes their decision if they choose to put up with you. You're constantly just put in a position of disadvantage. And like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a woman chasing after a man or a man chasing after a woman. It all boils down to the same thing. Now, part of the reason why I wanted to reiterate this conversation is I was thinking about a circumstance where, like for women, a lot of times when we become more financially in better circumstances, when we get with guys that are not financially in the best shape, we have a tendency to think that our financial entity gives us leverage over that person. However, the problem comes in with that circumstance is, if you really truly are interested in that person in that way, everything it's no longer, you can't buy a person's love. If you use your financial entity, you're pretty much having a it's a transaction. And if you get with somebody that, quote unquote, that you are buying, so to speak, they should already know how to act, so you really don't have to tell them anything. You don't have to boss them around, because they know that it is a transaction. You do for me, I do for you, on the basis of these conditions. If you want more of a admiring, admirable, loving circumstance, that person, that's a free will, and no amount of money can you buy a person's love. So if that person feels like they're being pushed or being forced into things, and this is supposed to be about a loving relationship, they may push back. They may work really hard to go against the grain and everything else. And that's how come a lot of times when we as women put ourselves in that position, that's how we end up getting played like we do, for that reason, because that guy is like okay, it was supposed to be about love, but you seem to be trying to tell me what to do. And so women have got this strange mindset, and sometimes guys do too, but I think because guys are so used to being the chaser, they kind of already understand that, a woman's point of view is going to take hold. This doesn't always go that way when it comes to us as women. But through the analyzation of that circumstance, one of the things I find in both situations is that there's a form of a feeling of leverage involved. Somebody feels more leveraged than the other person. And that's the real reason why I always go back to friendship when I say that if you truly want a mutually admirable relationship, you want something where both parties come together and in agreement that they're interested in each other and nobody has leverage over the other person. So it's not like you chased after me, and whatever I do for you at that point is, or whatever I did for you before we kind of went to that, it was like whatever I chose to do, but it's not based on me doing something for you, and that means an expectation, or that person has a right to demand that from you. Like it's like, well, we're just friends, at this point, and which is another problem with the dating process. Is like if a woman does chase after you, and then she turns around and expects, all these financial favors. It's like, excuse me, but you chased after me, so why am I obligated to you like this? It wasn't even my decision. I might not even chose you, except for you overwhelming the situation by whatever you were throwing out there that got me to show interest in you. So why am I going through all these changes? You know what I'm saying? And also, from the standpoint of, like I said before, um, even if you chased after her, um, you're put on in a position where her expectations are being she expects certain things from you, and because she looks at it like, hey, you chased after me, so now you're put in a position of being more than what you have to, and of course when you're insecure or your desires are really high, for this person is really high, of course you oblige to that until things kind of get normalized. And that's when things start to change. And that's, again, going back to what I said, the hand that you're showing is not a legitimate hand right now. You're showing something on the basis of your desire to be with this person and not really on what you really are. And that's part of the problem. And this is, to me, part of the thing about the dating process that I have a serious issue with, because I believe that, in my opinion, I believe that part of the reason why we have so much strife before we even get to marriage is because of dating. Dating was good for getting to know people, but we spend so much time, the situation was set up where you're supposed to get to know a person. If it doesn't work out, you move on. However, people base a lot of their decisions in future circumstances on what they experienced, to the point of where they forget that this was a getting to know process. This wasn't, if it didn't work out, that meant that it wasn't meant to work out, or like I said, the timing might not be right, because there are people that they get together, then they end things in, and some things need to take place, and they end up getting back together at a later date because they're in a better place. But however the circumstance is, whether it's a permanent ending or not, whatever reason caused that relationship to go south, at that time it wasn't right. And it's really, at that point, you look at it as, okay, this is a lesson learned, and I just deal with it from that angle instead of bringing the garbage to the next situation with your mindset, feeling like you have to judge a person on the basis of what someone else did. Because you got to look at it, either you're choosing a certain type of person that's causing you to have fails, or you're not really analyzing your own issues. You know what I'm saying? And that's very important. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we're hard headed, and we think that our philosophies and what's best for us is the way to go until we start, like, as we learn to live life and realize that some of our philosophies need to change and that how we look at things need to change. So that's part of the issue. But again, going back to what I said about starting as friends, the whole good part about starting off as friends is the fact that you get to know a person and you can be yourself. And I feel like the real problem, like I said in my book, and I've said this in the past when it came to the friendship issue, the biggest problem, especially with guys, and more so with guys than women, is that you all are so busy trying to get into a woman's pants that's the real reason why you put yourself more in a vulnerable place, because instead of you being able to say we're just friends right now and I'm not obligated to do certain things, you're trying to get your foot in the door, and so that will force you, would put you in a position of accommodating. And then when she chooses not to look at you in that way, you get an attitude. Well, no offense, but that's your fault. That's nobody's fault but your own, and you need to live with that. Instead of tripping over how come this woman is not responding to me the way I think she should, because you had ulterior motives. It was You didn't have pure motives. If you had wanted her in that way, and if that's what it was, then that's how you should have that's how you should have presented the package. And if she didn't do it, then you move on to someone else. Now again, I'm not an advocate of promoting premarital sex, so don't get me wrong. But at least if you're gonna play this game, play it right. You know, and let the chips fall where it may. Whereas if you're a real friend, then you're a real friend. It don't matter, and anything that you do is based on whatever as a friend. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully, that person will mutually respect you and appreciate you for whatever efforts you have made, but you don't look at it like, oh, this is my way of getting my foot in the door, instead of like, you know what, I'm just getting to know this person, and if it's meant to be, we'll both come together the way we should, and I shouldn't have to do extra stuff to get her to like me, and vice versa when it comes to a woman as well. So that's the reason why I promote the friendship thing. And like I said before, I was just randomly thinking. So I thought it was some extra points in there that may have not been expressed in the other commentaries that I thought was pretty good to say. So this is here Radney again, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye bye. Okay, hello. This is a continuation for this actually subject actually relates to the problem with men is sex, but in this particular commentary, this this particular commentary is directed toward the women. In that, in the last part of in my commentary toward the end of that particular chapter, I talked about how um, the sexual revolution hurt the women more than it hurt men. And in saying that, one of the points that I thought was really important to bring up was that because we as women, and there's been a lot of discussion about, the length of time you wait before you have sex and things like that. Like they were going on into statistics and saying that, of course, some situations produce a quicker relationship. However, the point they never discuss is how quickly those relationships also unravel. But the problem or the issue that I've been trying to convey to women is that because when you put sex in front of your actually getting to know a person, or it's more time or energy put into that kind of relationship versus you actually spending time together, is that when your relationship becomes more solid, that's what the basis of your relationship is on, is sex. It's not on friendship. It's not on that person seeing where you're how much you really are there for them is based on the sex. And so of course if things go wrong, if and or you decide to play, I say a lot of women play the hold up, hold out, where they feel like I'm punishing him because I'm mad at him or something, so I hold out on sex. Well, first and foremost, he can get sex somewhere else. That's number one. So, and if he's going somewhere else to get it, most likely he's probably even not only getting sex from somewhere else, he probably, because he was probably having an intimate relationship with you, that other relationship that that he's probably run to was probably based on friendship, which means not only is that person getting the sex from him, they're also been communing with each other in from a mental standpoint. So that relationship becomes a more solid relationship than the one you have with that person. So that's another reason why you need to be cautious about putting so much emphasis on sex yourself, and thinking that that's a great way of holding on to your man. Like I said before, and a lot of people, of course, a lot of women would say, "Well, we can grow in friendship as our relationship grows." Well, another problem with that is that because an intimate connection has been created, it's actually not going to be a true friendship, because now it's almost like a form of manipulation. Like, because this person is now going to be afraid to challenge you because he's afraid of losing the sex. So instead of you getting somebody who's real, instead of you getting somebody who could tell it like it is, instead of getting somebody who can really could really positively communicate with you, what you have is somebody who, in fear of him losing his ability to be with you in an intimate way, he's not going to exactly say and be his true self. And one thing about putting friendship first is that this is the time when a person is really going to be who they really are. Just like I had discussed in the circumstance with why it's good for men to desire to be friends first. Because you get, and I made a couple of points about being able to be yourself, getting to know people so you can make good, decisions and things of that nature. Well, that is the main advantage, is that you're not romantically and emotionally so entangled with this person that you're afraid, you're walking in fear that if you do have problems with this in a relationship, that you can freely express it because you're not losing anything at that point. And if you grow in romantically together, now everything is based on honest and true situations, and not based on well, I just want to get something from this person. So for women, especially women who are concerned about, again, the fidelity of their man, and who want their ultimate relationship where that man looks at them as being their true source, as far as, like, romantic entities go, the more, first of all, the more, I won't say leverage, but I would say the more substance that's added to your relationship, as far as it not being just based on physical and it's an obligation, and it's based on overall everything, such as, I know that I can go through the storms with this person. I know that we get along with each other. I know physically we have a great physical relationship. The more those boxes are full, the better chances of you having somebody who will not toss the relationship aside on frivolous things because they see value in that. So as women, that is something you should want to fight for, versus having the attitude of if I lay down with him and everything, and or I'm just doing it, and a situation becomes more romantic, that is going to guarantee or garner you that relationship that you can count on. You will always be walking in fear, because, like I said, he can get sex from other places. I mean, the way things are set up right now, he could get sex from other places. And with the world opening up to a lot of people, especially men, they don't have to even stay within the boundaries of their culture. They can go outside of their culture to get what they want. So when you see it like that, then you have to bring it. You have to be able to say, "Oh, something that you can count on is okay. He was physically drawn to me, so I didn't have to fight to get his attention. He knows that I got his back, so that's not every woman's gonna have his back. He knows that we get along, that we make an effort to care about each other. Those and if you add the mother aspect of it, of you being a great mother, or, great, you know what you handle in your business, the bar keeps going up for all those other women out there. So, him just being casual with somebody else, for him to take it to that level, there would have to be a serious level of disrespect for your relationship, or there's a serious breakdown in your relationship. And either one, there you would have to start making some decisions about whether or not you want to be with either, is it something that's fixable, repairable, or is this relationship done on the basis of the fact that this person just doesn't appreciate what you bring to the table, which should be the true basis of whether you stay or go. Because like I said, in some situations we play a part in our own demise by not being aware of what's going on. But then again, this is where again taking each other for granted and forgetting that what's important can get in the way of things, and or not even having that friendship where and you can sense that there are things going on with him that is not particularly right, and but that's still a taking for granted. So and that is the part you play in that failure. Now, as far as if you've done all you can do and you are that woman has been there and you're concerned about his feelings, and he still would do something like that to you, then he's basically saying, I don't respect you, that I don't respect what you bring to the table, and there's nothing you can do about that right now. You know what I'm saying? You can choose to separate and see if he finds his way back, or you can just end the relationship. And so if it, and when I'm talking, I'm saying all this in the content of a married relationship, um, not a boyfriend girlfriend situation, but in a married relationship in particular, this is where you could decide if uh, um, if you want to be bothered with that. You know what I'm saying? If you choose to separate and see if he gets his act together, and then if you see that he's still not in that place, or you're not comfortable with the time it's taking for him to get into that place, then you can make your decision to end the relationship. And people do get remarried, so it's not like once it's over, it's over. I mean, we all know that there are people who they've had problems, and then years later, everybody's grown up and everybody's got their self together, and you remarry. So it doesn't mean that it's completely over with. It just means that right now this person can't be the mate that you need them to be, and they're not in their mind is not right. So and you sometimes just gotta let them go through their journey. And this applies to men as well, So I'm not just targeting women, but I just wanted to say that to I thought it was an important point to add to the commentary for women. Um, of course, men are listening to this too, so what I'm saying, jump in. Again, I look forward to hearing your feedback. And this is Terry Radney again. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay. Again, that was a commentary on friendship. I have one more commentary that kind of and this is really directed toward women. So, men, if you choose to listen, fine. If not, and after that, I'm going to get into more political issues and stuff. Um, like I said before, when I wrote this book, my biggest the theme of the book really, or the catalyst of this book, was the problem with men is sex. Was the what I really wanted to write. But like I said, I really felt like I really needed to get to the heart of what I see as being problems. So, and I have emphasized a lot on friendship because I really see it as a really great way of handling things, especially when you're trying to socialize and grow as your in yourself,
and to get the better idea of how the opposite sex thinks. I mean, understanding people and things of that nature. I mean, that I think that's a good journey. I've noticed that a lot of guys that are really well versed with women, part of the reason why they're like that is because they spend a lot of time dealing with women in a sense of getting to know women. They're not limited in their point of view, so they get to understand what makes they get to understand what makes a person tick. So I feel like, and I know some females that are, have male friendships, and they seem to be very, it's easier for them to adjust to relationships. They don't seem to have as difficult as time, and they seem to have more realistic ideals about relationships. So, these are part of the things that I picked up outside of my own experiences. And so that's why I'm really putting such an emphasis on friendship. I know a lot of people say, how many videos is she going to do about friendship? But I just really see it as a good way of getting to know, especially young people, what I'm saying, especially people who are looking to grow in their lives and things like that. You know, to me, I just look at it as a great way of allowing yourself the ability to have companionship without the total ability to have to commit. Again, like I said, everybody has their style. And I will emphasize this again. There are people out there, they feel more comfortable when one-on-one relationships, and they feel more comfortable, exploring their romantic entity. So if that works for you, that is fine. What I'm saying? But obviously, it doesn't seem to work for a lot of people because we keep hearing about, everybody talking about somebody's cheating on them, or this is going on, or people's bitter. And I'm like, what is all of this? What I'm saying? I mean, real talk, what is that? I mean, again, you're supposed to be getting to know someone, and you're supposed to be getting to know people. And like I said, if certain things don't work out, it may be, like I said, it may not be meant to be, or maybe this wasn't the right time. And so getting all bent out of shape over being disappointed in in a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, when in all honesty is not even truly merited, to me, it just seems silly and a waste of time. So again, we'll be moving on this. Like I said, I have at least one more section, but this is not really a boyfriend girlfriend situation as much as it is about directly talking to women about how, our point of view about relationships. So it's not really in that it's not in that nature of or circumstance of being about. It's not about necessarily friendship or anything like that. And then after that, I will get into more, like I said, more political issues where I talk about this, reference point to the state of Black people and how we interact and how that also plays into relationships. So this is Tara Ratney, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.